Very good evening and welcome to this Thursday's final edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. Bringing you the news for the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, first, your headlines.
Newsfirst headline.
Sri Lanka President stands firm on 5-year term limit. Sri Lanka strikes restructuring agreement with bondholders. President should inform his stance to court via Attorney General, says Samagi Janabalabegir. In news overseas, Gaza ceasefire talks show signs of life as Israeli security cabinet meets. And in sports, South Africa unsure on Quinton de Kock's T20 international future. On to your top story this evening, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe firmly believes that the presidential term is 5 years. The president's media division in a statement earlier in the day said that the president supports the Election Commission's decision to hold the presidential election in 2024. The PMD issued a statement to the media after its attention was drawn to the petition filed with the Supreme Court seeking to delay the presidential election. Chamindra Dayan Lenavar had filed a determination application regarding the president's term in office with the Supreme Court and sought an order preventing members of the Election Commission from taking further steps with regard to the presidential election. The president's media division said that the filing of the petition was brought to the attention of the government. Quote, "It has been brought to the attention of the government that one Chamindra Dayan Lenavar had filed an application in the Supreme Court under and in terms of Articles 126, read with Articles 12.1, 82.6, 3, 4, 118 and 125 of the Constitution of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, praying, inter alia, for a declaration that Article 32 should not be interpreted to be amended ab initio by Section 3 of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, and accordingly the Election Commission shall hold the next presidential election, taking into account that the term of the office of the President is 6 years, and for an interim order restraining the members of the Election Commission from taking any further steps in conducting a presidential election in 2024 until the Supreme Court determines this application. President Ranil Wickremesinghe states that the said Chamindra Dayan Lenavar has not consulted the President or his lawyers prior to filing this application in the Supreme Court." Unquote. The President's media division said that President Ranil Wickremesinghe is firmly of the opinion that the term of the President is 5 years and the Election Commission is correct in taking steps to hold the presidential election in 2024. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka and creditors reached an agreement on the terms for a $12 billion bond restructuring, bringing the South Asian nation closer to completing its debt overhaul 2 years after it defaulted, according to Bloomberg. Bondholders and the nation agreed to a framework for a deal that includes notes linked to economic performance and a governance-linked structure as part of plain vanilla instruments, according to a statement released on Wednesday at the conclusion of the second round of restricted talks. Bloomberg said that the creditors agreed to a 28% nominal haircut on existing bonds. On to more local news now. The Samagi Janabalabegir, being the main opposition faction, said that the president should inform the court via the Attorney General that the president's term is 5 years. Parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman stated that the individual who has submitted an application to the Supreme Court is perceived as intending to disrupt the democratic principles of the country. He went on to note that the president should summon the Attorney General and seek his advice. Meanwhile, SJB parliamentarian Harshan Rajakaruna alleged that there are insinuations that the president may be attempting to exert influence over the judiciary by using terms such as judicial cannibalism. He added that President Ranil Wickremesinghe, being afraid of calling for an election while consistently advocating for the parliament to establish a government instead, appears to challenge the democratic process. Let's now take a look at international news.
International news.
A renewed push is underway to end the bloodshed in Gaza as both Israel and Hamas speak to mediators about a long-stalled ceasefire plan. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will convene a meeting of his security cabinet on Thursday to discuss the latest proposal from Hamas. Hamas on Wednesday said it presented new ideas to Qatari, Egyptian and Turkish mediators on how to reach a ceasefire and captive exchange deal. Israel confirmed it is evaluating Hamas's comments, which it did not detail. The development comes as Israel hammers southern Khan Yunis, Gaza's second largest city, from where it ordered an estimated 250,000 Palestinians to flee, killing at least 7 people in an airstrike near its main hospital. Let's now take a look at your sports news.
Sports news.
South Africa are hopeful Quinton de Kock will remain available to play white ball international cricket and realise his dream of winning a World Cup, as they are yet to receive news of his T20 international retirement. Quinton de Kock called time on tests in 2021 and ended his 50-over career at last year's ODI World Cup. The T20 World Cup in West Indies and USA was expected to be his last T20 outing, but national white ball coach Rob Walter hopes there may be more to come from Quinton de Kock. And with that, we bring to a close this edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. For details of all these stories and much more, simply visit our website www.newsfirst.lk or follow us on our social media platforms. As always, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Have a good night.